everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the Unbounce meetup. Ollie and I are actually from Vancouver, and we came here for Hero Conference. There are a couple people that went to Hero Conference. Hands up. Just one?
He's got the t-shirt to prove it.
2 people? Okay.
That's all he got was a lousy t-shirt.
So yeah, if you guys want to have like hashtags, sorry, if you guys want to tweet, the hashtag is UB Meetup, and the Wi-Fi information is up there. I'm just going to introduce our panel. So essentially, we were very, very excited to come to Austin because Austin is now dubbed the conversion capital of the world, according to Brian Massey, who is sitting on our panel. But what that really means is that there's a bunch of very smart people doing very smart things in Austin. So when we knew we were coming for Hero Conference, we really wanted to have a meetup for our customers or even people that are interested in Unbounce to kind of, chat about landing pages and conversion. So we reached out to some of our friends, and they decided that they're going to do a live landing critique. So I'll be the first portion. I know some of you guys submitted your pages, so it'll be super interesting for you guys to kind of get that live feedback. And then after that, we're just going to go to a live Q&A, super casual. So I'm going to introduce Pep Laya. He writes for, he runs one of the best conversion blogs out there, Conversion Captial. The best, yeah? The best conversion blog out there.
ConversionXL.com, check it out.
And then we have Brian Massey, who is the conversion scientist. Woo! Woo! And then
Your check's in the mail.
And then Mr. Ollie Gardner, who's the co-founder of Unbounce, and he has seen more landing pages than anybody in the world.
Nice title.
That's a great title.
Well,
probably true.
I get to sit through Unbounce customer pages all the time. I just sit.
Do you have a number, like so we can?
About 31,000.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
And are you the guy that's play police? Like it's like, oh, this is not appropriate. When Business Corner turns into.
Yeah, I don't know. I get a lot of headaches from looking at some of the pages. But.
And I am Stephanie. I am the event strategist at Unbounce. So. Yeah, if you have any questions, so this meetup isn't really focused on product at all, but if you have any questions about product, Ollie and I are here and we are more than happy to answer anything. But right now we're going to start the live landing critique.
Actually, just a quick question. How many of you are on that test? Oh, wow. Okay, so good. Where's my It's a nice mix.
There's something that I need to do, that I should do. If I can grab the line for just a second.
Absolutely, please do.
So I'm the conversion scientist, and those of you from Austin might know, I know several of you have seen me speak before. I speak with my lab coat on. But whenever we want to honor friendship or amazing accomplishment at Conversion Sciences, we grant other people lab coats. So I would like Ollie to have a Conversion Sciences lab coat, and Pep, I haven't given you one of these yet, and it's long overdue. I think that one fits you better. This one.
All right.
Thank you, Brian.
You're smarter already.
Actually, studies show that not only will you perform better on cognitive tests, but that other people will perceive you as smarter. I didn't think you'd get any smarter.
Well, apparently.
So now we're all equal. These guys certainly do equal us.
So, quick question before we jump into anything. Okay, I don't know if anyone was in my session the other day, but this is so weird.
If it distracts you, you don't have to wear it.
That's great. We'll get some good photos of this stuff. That'll be great. In terms of how we're going to critique the pages, there are different levels. There's nice and friendly and helpful. We can be opinionated and helpful. We can be brutally honest. And we can do total fucking assholes. So, where do you want to be on the scale? So I'm going to walk and just put your hand up when I get to the right place so we know how much we can.
I'm good with that. No, we don't need any assholes.
They're not
Brutal
Austin
honesty.
if anyone raises their hand. Yeah.
Okay. Let me fix your
Well, how many of you submitted a landing page today?
One.
One.
All right, never mind.
Here.
And you can do this live as well. So we have like how many? 10?
We have 4, and if people aren't here, we won't do them.
Really?
What's the best way to?
Just so we can get people.
What's the best way to send the URLs?
You just we can
We'll
just
just share it up here and I can
Stick
go.
them in Google Live.
Okay.
So whose landing page is this? Is it here?
Surgery, radiology, pathology.
Yeah, is it yours?
No.
Well, I mean, should we give this? We'll give this a little go. I'm just gonna get out of here so we can actually look at it in a browser.
Well, who wants to go first? Easy pickings.
So the person is not here, or can we ask them a question and they can pretend like it's not theirs? The person's not here?
Yeah.
The first question always is, what do you want people to do when they come to the page? And so if you scan it, you want them to send a spec board or send spec board. Right? That kind of jumps off the page.
And
right?
also, an interesting question is, do the people who this page is intended to, do they know what a spec board is? Because they don't explain what it is. It just says it comes in 2 sizes. And
I want
most
that big
people
spec
don't
board.
read on pages. They just scan. So people scan. So while they do have this 1, 2, 3 bullet points, but you don't get any value out of reading those bullet points. And headline, which is supposed to tell you what it is all about, does not reveal much.
No, this looks like a breadcrumb. It looks
Yeah.
like I was in surgery, I went to radiology.
You're going backwards.
Or maybe it's like, which is better, like surgery is better.
So we're dead, I don't know. And this is really unique, putting the CTA before the forum. I've never seen that. I wish someone was here. I'd love to know if they actually tested that, because that is ridiculous.
And let's look at the form fields. So there are 2 form fields, actually 3 or 4. Like half of them are mandatory and half are not. So why do you ask for these mandatory fields? Because you know they cause friction. Well, there might be a good reason, because sometimes you intentionally want to increase friction to improve lead quality. Now, I don't know if title, department, and phone would improve lead quality here. Typically,
they're saying to ensure proper delivery, please address to. Okay, so you know what department I'm in and what my title is. How are you going to send it to me? Where's the address? Right? I mean, this is a physical product. You're not going to email me.
And what is AH code from your label? The first field. So,
Okay, from your label.
AH code from
Maybe
your
if you've already
label.
bought
Yeah.
one.
We'd have to know more about the source of the traffic here and stuff. There is one thing that stands out, because they circle R everything. The Eisenberg brothers talk about weeing all over yourself in your copy. If you count the number of times you talk about your brand, you, our clients, our company, your company name, and you count them in a space of copy like this, and it outnumbers the you and what we'll do for you, you're weeing all over yourself. And spec board, spec board, spec board, spec board, spec board. I don't have a problem looking at this and going, this is not about me, this is not about my problems, and this is not going to get read. So.
And if it's a registered trademark, why the fuck don't you have a logo? Right? It's just text.
And you just, you just.
and if it is an innovative product, maybe it is, and maybe it's good. The landing page, style does not communicate innovation, fancy, super useful. It's like cheap crap.
So, anyone like this page? Okay. Shall we leave these guys alone?
Yeah, if they're not here to kind of give us a little more context.
I wish they
then-
had been, because what I was going to say, like, this is awful use of photography. It doesn't really do anything. It's bizarrely placed. But they're trying to communicate, I spent a little bit of time, but they're trying to communicate that this thing, whatever this is, it gets taken from surgery to radiology to pathology in whatever order. I think it's carried around.
And so instead of like creating a graphic that would communicate that, they decided to pull stock photography of people doing what we don't know. He's looking at something shiny and gold. Ooh, oh, there's something serious on this. And what is this?
Printing money, I think.
I guess I'm doing, my silk screening T-shirts here. What's going on here?
And let's talk about images on landing pages. Images are great for attention capturing. So, we have scientific evidence that if you have a huge ass picture, like this larger than life picture, that really draws attention. So people pay attention to it, and especially if it adds some context. But doing these little thumbnail size images, they add no value. It actually adds kind of to the noise, especially if they're like cheesy like that, not instructive, don't help us understand the product. So it's like not well done at all.
My favorite test, go ahead. I was gonna say my favorite test for an image is if you can write a relevant caption for it that would go underneath it. Like, with our product, surgeons will glare at lights. That doesn't really, it's not relevant. What would you write about this one?
I think it's that guy on the left is in surgery, the guy in the middle is in radiology, and the guy on the left is in pathology.
Oh my gosh, you're probably right. So if we could write in surgery, in radiology, in pathology, so maybe these images would work in that framework. They don't really.
Sorry, Brian.
They don't really communicate much more beyond that. Ah!
I spent 5 minutes earlier.
Oh, see, there we go. Now images are actually working to communicate.
I can't get this to go. It tells more of a story, right? You at least get what's going on. Right? And that was really easy to do.
It's one of the image tests that I tend to do on landing pages is try those massive full screen background images on a landing page. And not always, but often that really works well. And this is also confirmed by Which Test One, everybody's seen the website, where they have like a bunch of people submit their test results. So they have this pool of data, test data, and Justin from Which Test One told me that actually they have seen the same thing, that these massive background images work. Plus they're beautiful pictures, increase sex appeal of the website. People instantly like it better.
I notice that when I go to PayPal, I come and there's this huge hero image, and it's like some guy picks up his computer and walks off in this huge background. That needs to be tested.
I mean,
It's
it all
interesting.
comes down to the execution. Plus, PayPal is a different kind of animal anyway.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's good data point.
There's talking of full screen backgrounds, that we have an example like that, but I just want to see if, I should just have a look at it.
So as a standstill image, not very attractive.
So we've loaded.
The primary thing is the song, right? So the drums are supposed to support that. There's very few songs you're ever going to hear that are hits that have a lot of busy drumming in them. A lot of them have really cool drum fills or really tasty drum fills or things like that. Tasty parts that are maybe a little bit more complex, but not overly busy or in the way of the music. Played with Sammy Davis Jr. once. Played with Peggy Lee, played with Cher, played with Foreigner, played with David Lee Roth, played with Richie Sambora from Bon Jovi, Randy Meisner, the original singer and bass player with the Eagles, Danny Lane from...
So he's got some credibility.
It's starting to sound like one of those Walt Whitman sort of greatest hit. Not Walt
You
Whitman.
have stats on the audience retention on this YouTube video. Do you know how long they watched the video?
Yeah, it depends what country they come from,
Okay.
but it's way into it. It's like 2.5 minutes long, but most watch it almost to the end.
So I mentioned that Ron is well known, somewhat well known by a percentage of your audience, maybe the...
Yeah, the audience that's coming there knows that he was in the band Porter.
Right. I didn't even know that.
It was a couple of them.
So we usually don't ask this up front, but I'm wondering how's this page performing for you?
It's performing way better than the page I had before, and I just did this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the page before was performing at about half the conversions.
Half the conversions. Can you give us a percentage? Do you know? It
Like
may not be
10,
statistically
20,
valid, but
55.
This is at 40, 42, or 43.
42 or 43%. Good data points.
Yeah,
So I've never seen or tested anything like this.
There's another, there's the 50, the other half of this one has a little buy button from Gumroad, kind of down on the, underneath where it says get my drums, but kind of down on the page a little bit. And that one converts a lot less.
Just because it has a secondary call to action.
Yeah,
Very interesting. What's the source of traffic?
Facebook ads.
And what does that say?
Facebook ads are converting at 42%.
Yeah.
You're hired.
Well, what's the ad copy? What does that say?
The ad is a big picture of Ron like that, and it says something like, wouldn't your song sound great with real professional drums? Get your free songwriter drum package.
Mm-hmm. So it matches the visual and the copy.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's
and then
great.
we target only people that use software that Loops would work with.
So the loops are free. You're offering this package for free. Is there an I assume there's an upsell
Yeah,
by email afterwards?
Yeah, the whole collection. That
How
goes
does-
into a sales funnel. It's a 5-step sales funnel.
How's that performing for you?
Well, last sale was at 623.
But of the 42%, are you converting half of those? 10%
No,
of
we're
those?
converting at 5%.
At 5%. Okay.
Yeah.
But volume-wise, could you tell us how much traffic the page is getting?
Well, I've been testing this with only $25 a day worth of ads. So
Because that's a very important part of the conversation, how much volume the page gets.
yeah, well, the page is getting, I guess, well, it depends on how much advertising I do for it. I just upped it to $100 today, but it would be getting.
Have you gotten 100 conversions?
Oh, 100 conversions. We've got, I think it was 1,800 verified emails.
Conversions, 1,800 conversions.
Yeah, 1,800 conversions.
So we would call that statistically significant, right?
Yeah. Well, there's actually more than 1,800 because not everybody verifies their MailChimp thing.
It's double opt-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at 1,800.
Well, let's talk about some things that we might want to test here. A couple of things that stand out for me. The logo is too much crammed into the headline. So if you want to read the headline, which communicates value while the logo does not, I would move the logo away from the copy and maybe make it smaller. 2, the headline is like question headlines is not a surefire way to go. It would be clearer if it adds tells you what you're gonna get. In a nutshell, this is what you're gonna get. And the next paragraph copy there is 4 lines. The optimal paragraph length for reading is like 3 lines or so. So I would see if I could maybe break it into make it 3 lines and add some bullets. See how that works. The email and the asterisk is unnecessary because there's this psychological phenomenon called autonomy. People like to do what they want to do, not what they're told to do. So often, when you remove all mandatory fields, people volunteer more information. So you could just remove the asterisk. It's one field. They understand that they need to put their email there anyway, so I would get rid of that. Now the copy, the bottom, get my drum loops, it's a weird cap thing. The my is not capitalized, and exclamation mark is my personal pet peeve.
I don't like those either, except in a quote.
Maybe. And these privacy spam messages, all that stuff. Now I have tested this significantly, and I find that 50% of time adding any privacy-related message actually decreases conversions. People weren't thinking about that stuff, and now it's some extra noise on the page. So it might work, might not. So those were the things that I would test here.
Especially the word spam, right? This is an incongruent term. Congruence is everything on your page being aligned for the same purpose. When you're getting to this point, the point where I'm about to complete your conversion goal, I'm seeing a word, like you say, that I wasn't thinking of, spam. And I'm like, oh, these guys are going to spam me. It's now in my brain. Michael Agard had a great test of having this in there, and it killed conversions by 22% or something because the word spam was in there. We had a meetup in Seattle, and someone had below their CTA, it said, no gimmicks, no credit card. I don't ever think of the word gimmicks, right? So they took the word gimmicks out and lifted 25%. So it got the benefit, no credit card, and removed the incongruent term.
And for those that are, I want to make a comment on the question mark headlines. They're common, they're used a lot. If the answer to your headline is no, no one's going to read your copy because, oh, I don't have this problem, right? The answer to your problem is yes, I have this copy. I'm not going to read your copy because I already know I have the problem. Your question headlines have to say, make them say, how can you do that? That's what they need to say. Really, how can you do that? That needs to be the reaction, not yes or no. So if you're going to use questions, they can be really powerful if done that way.
Did you test autoplay versus not on the video?
Think about that.
How would you do a play button on a big old thing like this?
Yeah, it doesn't have it even in the pause mode, which is weird. Maybe I've set it in YouTube.
Yeah.
Things,
I don't think that I knew how to do that.
You can test it by making you make a duplicate version of your embed code. So one is like autoplay, yes, and then
Oh, sure, I can do that.
Yeah.
I wonder if a button will show up there.
the button will be right in the middle, in his face.
Sure it will.
Yeah.
I wonder if this,
Sorry.
I'm just wondering if there's an analog between this and the walkout spokespeople. This has the advantage that your spokesperson brings his weight. I mean, this is all about him and his loops and what he's done. So,
Well, the video seemed very authentic to me, like very credible. It's not some cheesy guy, so that was good. But what I did feel was that it was kind of slow getting into it. So we know that with any video, the audience retention rate is just downhill. Just the rate varies from video to video. So you want to make sure that the first 20 seconds will deliver the punch. This is what you're going to get. You're going to play the drums. It's going to sound awesome. And now I'm talking about I was the drummer for the Foreigner and so on. So you know that they're not going to watch to the end. So get to the point right away.
Yeah, I mean, they are watching quite a bit, but yeah, when I watched this, I was like, I don't know who you are, don't know who you are. And then I saw this list, I'm like, oh, boom, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. If he started with, I was a drummer for Foreigner, then you've got me, right?
Yeah.
And it's his, I mean, and you know, you could put that in the copy here somewhere, maybe as a secondary thing or something down here, so I know as soon as I get here that this guy has credibility without even getting any way through the video.
any thoughts from the audience?
I think that's why people who clicked on the ad already knew who the guy is. Otherwise, they wouldn't have clicked.
Is anybody in the target market for this page in here? A musician or somebody who does mixes? No. Okay.
I've got a question. You had mentioned that when you remove the mandatory fields, the response goes up.
Yeah.
How many fields? Like one of my forms says 15, for example. I need to produce very high quality leads, so phone number mandatory. Several of them are absolutely mandatory. So
Well, in your particular, no, there is no one formula that works across all forms. So I would say that just make them all voluntary and see what happens. Usually people volunteer all of the information, especially if you say that they're high quality leads. High quality leads, they're not afraid to share their information. So just that.
Yeah, and if it's going to be bogus information, they're going to put in regardless.
And of course, the possible backlash is that they'll leave some fields empty, and if they actually are mandatory and they'll receive an error message, that's going to massively decrease your conversion. Nobody wants to see an error message ever.
I'm just curious what the end of the video shows. I'm supposed to watch it all the way through.
Yeah, yeah.
And what your
It must be pretty compelling. People are like,
Greg Raleigh's the originals.
Can't scrub when it's full screen like this. We'll let it run while we talk.
So, I had a question since we're gonna watch this guy. Oh, hey.
So yeah, start with that.
Like rewrite that headline for us.
rewrite that headline as
in a way that makes me ask, how are you gonna do that?
Can you make your drums sound like blah, one of the bands? And that begs the question of how would you do that?
Get the drummer for Foreigner to play drums on your songs absolutely free. What? Really? How would you do that?
So misleading is okay? So misleading a little bit okay?
That's not
That's what their value proposition. but it's not him playing on your loop. What was yours?
Get your drums sound like, and then just Foreigner or one of the bands there, something like that.
Yeah, so how can you get Foreigner's drummer to play on your songs
Well,
for
it's
free?
Yeah, that's great.
Well, it's funny we're talking about the lead forms. I heard this rumor, and I guess if any guys in any room are going to be asked this question, might as well with you guys. The name form field. I heard a rumor that if you don't separate it into first name and last name, and just put name, that some percentage, a very high percentage, still will provide by momentum first and last name in that form. Have you guys tested it? Is that true?
Well, the first question is, is there a good reason to actually separate them? Because if they enter a space, you can make your code split into. So if they have like 3 names, you can figure out with the code as well. Probably the first 2 are like first and middle name. So is that even necessary to break it apart and add this additional field? Probably no. So I would just.
I think it depends partly on what software you're using for email. I mean, if your email software can do that, I don't know if MailChimp we use can do that. Because a lot of the time people want the specific thing because they're going to do personalization in their emails. So I guess
We ask for just the first name because all we really want to do is personalize the emails we send, and we get, I don't know what the number is, but it's going to be like between 5 and 15%. We'll give both their names in that blank. It actually messes with.
Between how much will actually?
I think it's probably 5 and 15. I'm just off the top of my head, just from
I'm thinking more
seeing the
leads
flow.
than for like, I don't know, somebody who's gonna call them and pitch them one, I don't know, $60,000 software, so they usually
Where you
like to
need
have the
both of
last
those,
name.
yeah.
So do I recommend that they, reduce the number of fields by combining that? Or do I say, no, if you need the last name, keep it separate?
The only right answer is you have to test it because we don't know. Right?
And in that situation, actually, like Ollie was hinting, the tech's probably going to decide.
Right.
So if you can't split those with whatever ISP you're using, whatever lead management system you're using, then you have to separate.
But I mean, if the field says name, I would think that most people assume that full name is expected. So, well, you have to figure it out.
So this is what we're seeing at the end here. I guess this is because it's related videos on YouTube or something.
As long as it's his own playlist, but this is a distraction.
Yes, definitely.
This is a lot of other pitches and.
Yeah, I think that's because I used the code off of in the forum. Because I figured out how to do this through one of your guys.
You can in YouTube you can configure the embed code by not show related.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah, and you don't want things like this, YouTube. On mobile, the caveat there is on mobile, sometimes you have to hit that in order to get it showing on your device. But you don't want any distraction, so I would use a host that doesn't want you to go away and go off to YouTube.
Yeah, sure. I know how to fix that. I really appreciate the feedback you've gotten, and I've got a number of things now to test. Would you mind looking at the page that I had up just 3 weeks ago? Because this converts like twice as good as that page did.
I'd like to see it myself. Yeah.
And that one's at the same domain, and then it's /TCA-old-champion.
Is it?
Yeah, that's it. And I had A/B tested and A/B tested and A/B tested to get to this one that was working.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in your forum and saw there was some code on how to do a full page one, and I wanted to try that. So I was just absolutely amazed that it converts, like twice as well as this page, because I really tried to tune this.
Well, there's a lot of distraction on here. I mean, asking someone to do all this or get involved in a conversation is such a distraction from the goal of your page.
And also see the visual effect. Now we have a small thumbnail versus a mega thumbnail. This grabs so much less attention, it's not captivating. And get it now, the call to action as well.
And this is impossible to read. These are far too long.
So when it comes to line length, this has been studied through and through. It's like 60 to 80 characters per line. You don't want to have longer lines because people won't read them, they just ignore them. You don't want to have too short lines as well. But this is definitely bad.
Yeah, and it looks like a whole bunch of links.
And it looks so spammy to me, like this capitalized red underlines.
It's like black hat SEO, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's not nice. Cool.
There's a question right back here.
So I know the answer is going to be it depends, but I think the higher conversion rates we're seeing from this page are just because they're asking for one field. I mean, what have you seen versus number of fields you asked?
I mean, they're the same, the number of fields.
No, I'm sorry. I meant just in general, he's getting 47%, which versus asking a form that asks for 10 different fields. For example.
So, well, most definitely there's a direct correlation in most sites. So then the more stuff you ask, the more friction there is in the process. However, sometimes you want to add more friction to improve lead quality, because if you have people calling them, hey, and it's like, oh, sorry, I actually don't have any money, you're wasting your salesperson's time. So you want to add. So for instance, my agency website, we had a lot of unqualified leads coming in. People that my salespeople spent, you know, a good amount of time on the phone and said that they have no budget. So we added a budget drop down, like minimum budget and all this stuff. And that people seeing what's the minimum budget, overnight, all unqualified leads gone. So.
And that speaks to how you want to do your testing. So you want to test to the dollars, because the conversion, we on an e-commerce site, we can significantly increase the conversion rate just by cutting all the prices in half. But the business makes less money and certainly no profit. So you want to make sure that your conversions have some link back to the money. The 5% conversion rate, you want to be applying that to your split tests and seeing if it's different between the two pages.
So it could be that your front offer here has higher conversion rates, but it's crappier leads that are going through, so they're buying less stuff. So when doing A/B tests, yeah, you need to measure both the opt-in rate and the purchase rate.
Has he split tested another site or another landing page that focuses on a different demographic? Like younger up-and-coming drummers and students and people that have their parents' money but don't necessarily have the same kind of level of proficiency and income that your key demographic would currently have? Because this is a little overwhelming and intimidating for like a young junior high or high school student that's an up-and-comer. Mm-hmm. Have you maybe A/B split tested something that's similar but not quite as overwhelming? Because I know my nephew and niece want to be drummers and they don't necessarily want to sound like Journey or Rush, or they just want to be able to
But do they have any money?
What's that?
Do they have any money?
They have their parents' money, which is even more money than some adults have.
Okay.
So that's a key demographic.
Then I would be interested in that. That's a good question. But the nature of a good value proposition, a good landing page, is going to be understanding who you're walking away from, as well as who you want to target. So if you're going to target and be specific, with specificity really will rock it. You know who's coming.
Males 35 to 45. No,
Yeah.
35 to 55.
So this page obviously made a specific decision not to go with that. Another page, and I think you said another page. Yeah. Another page might be able to use a completely different approach for those other
I
segments.
see that it's great for that target market. I think it's awesome. But for kids that are going to be 35-year-old experienced great drummers but aren't yet, I guess that's
I think it's a great point that you're making also. This page does not really say who's it's for. You have to self-identify, like, am I this person? So what if, like, you mentioned a use case here? Like, I understand that you have free pack and includes this and this and this, but it's mentioned like in bullet points, use cases. It's great if you want to do this, or it's perfect for you if you're trying to do that. So
I'm glad you moved away from this because it's a user experience nightmare. Just all these.
Yeah, the readability is terrible.
Keep in mind, it was converting at some 20%.
But I like that you went to an experiential page, and that doubled the conversion rate because drumming is an experience.
Did your purchase rate change between the two of them as well? Do you know?
Let's see. It's still early in it, but yeah, it's more purchases.
So it's a higher purchase rate and a higher conversion rate.
I haven't done the math on that.
Well, I mean, volume-wise for sure, because there are more people going into the funnel, but is the conversion rate also higher? Or is it the
I
same?
believe that it is. I haven't done the math on that.
Yeah. So if this was higher than 5%, then this page could be winning, actually.
Yeah.
From a money in the bank standpoint.
And I don't know, maybe it's that it's kind of, that kind of page is a little bit newer, you don't see that so often with the video running.
Novelty, but
I wanted to A/B test at different times of the day because I think that we get less signups during the day, during the week. And in the evening, we get more signups.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants an autoplay video during the day because they're at work or something, and that's intrusive and at home in the evening, definitely.
Can you A/B test based upon the day and location?
yeah, I call it day parting.
Yeah.
It's smart if you can do it. It's
Okay, we should jump on to another one.
Will you guys review an e-commerce landing page?
Sure.
All right, shout it out.
I sent it over, but
Is it the beat thing?
yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
I've got
one? Okay. Awesome. I want some
Beat
hardcore
Elite.
criticism.
Beat Elite.
So tell us about the audience. Who are you selling to?
So the audience is either weekend warrior athletes or CrossFitters or anybody who would like to get endurance performance boosted. So even for your workout, for your marathon, whatever it is. And I don't know if you guys know, there was a kind of a craze in beet juice, but beet juice is messy and inconvenient. You know, you gotta juice the beets and all that. So these guys came up with this crystallized beet stuff, and we're trying to, but they're new, we don't know the audience yet. So we don't know, are they gonna want social proof? Are they gonna want scientific studies? Are they going to want to care, do they care about organic beets? So, but we also couldn't put a lot of information on here without scaring them, so we kind of put them in these collapsible dips. So that's a story.
It's kind of scary when you open that.
Same thing about the line length here, like what I said about, this is like 160 characters per line. Cut it in half, increase the font size to whatever you have to have less characters per line. And the paragraphs are too long.
Yeah, there's two kinds of readers that you're reading for. There are people who will read and read methodically, and then there's scanners. And this completely eliminates my ability to scan, which we're probably not missing much, because if you scroll back up to look at the copy, there's no use of bullets, there's no highlighting, there's no subheads. There's at the top, but scroll to the one of these hidden copy blocks.
Like just inside one of these?
Yeah. Oh, so this is using bolds, but these are testimonials. But nonetheless, this is something more like I can scan. Pick that first one, the one at the top. This is not scannable. This is hard to scan. I'm just going to look at this picture.
So a
There's
good
no
way
captions,
to go about
so-
this copy is that you have 3-line paragraphs. Every 2 paragraphs, you have a subheadline that summarizes the other 2 following paragraphs. So people just read the subheadings and they get the whole point. They don't even need to read it. And only statistically, like 15% or so will read most, and 85 will not. So they'll just scan the headlines. And if you close it, collapse it. So these are aligned center. It's terrible for readability. It's absolute. I understand that you want to have it in the center maybe, but do left align. It's so much better to read. Otherwise, it's like. And these headlines, meet our scientists, meet our organic beats. They are not very enticing, you know. So you want to make the headline communicate some sort of a value. Our scientists, we have 3 PhD scientists or something. So just read the headlines and it tells me something about the product. I don't even need to read it. Headline tells me some value.
You can't even understand what would work for you here because the key things, they're not visible, they're explorable.
I try something like his. I try a video.
Well,
because they have so much information.
The idea was also to use these guys to collect information on what people care about, which ones they're uncollapsing and whatnot, to then guide the next.
Are you tracking the clicks on the open and close?
Unfortunately, the way that the collapsible divs were implemented doesn't fire anything off, so right now we're implementing very complex.
Curse you, IT!
And of course, if you start out with a whole bunch of questions, do you want this, do you want that, do you want this and that?
Right.
Testing is a terrible way to figure it out. I mean, it takes too long if you have a lot of questions. Qualitative research is what you need to do first, and user testing.
We could probably tell you what the results will be. The top 2 or 3 will get the most clicks. And that's it.
Yes. The order matters. And if you scroll up, way up, see how much visual distraction. Where am I supposed to look? And this is like supposed to be visual cue. I don't know if it's a bot or not, but like look here. but it's like the same color as this. So this is your, what you want people to click on, but it's visually way smaller than all the other stuff and doesn't stand out. And buy now is, in my experience, the worst button copy you can have for a purchase. Because buy now means, give me your money. As opposed to, get this thing.
This is an interesting call to action. Try blackberry flavor.
Black cherry flavor.
Black cherry flavor. Try black cherry flavor.
Black cherry performs better, let me tell you.
I would imagine it would, because this is inviting me to try something I haven't done before, something I might like. I would argue that you could just say whatever flavor this is, try beet flavor, try black, and you've limited the choices. It's I'm going to try this flavor or that flavor.
Because you don't actually say that you have beet flavor.
Nobody's going to want beet flavor, though. Is that the issue?
I mean, it's kind of the issue, yeah.
Well, you don't buy it for the flavor, right? It's like for the performance benefits.
Yeah.
But let's look at the copy. The headline just, to me, screams like some sort of hype and tells me actually nothing. And then
you ever woke
the
up
secret is,
going, oh, I've got to power up my performance.
All day.
yeah. So if you do qualitative survey to your audience, you pay attention to the language. How do they describe the problem that they're having? Like, do they say, yeah, I need to power my performance. Yeah, me too. I'm also powering my performance. I mean, nobody talks about it. So you need to...
How's your performance? Is it powered? Yeah.
You need to reflect back the same wording that they use in a conversation with a friend. So anything, you read through this copy, and if you wouldn't say this in a sentence in a conversation with a friend, you shouldn't have that sentence. It helps the body increase efficiency of oxygen utilization for energy production.
This was a battle with their copywriter, and I didn't.
Yes, it's a shitty copywriter, we can tell. Secret about copywriters. Mediocre copywriters, a dime a dozen. If you want to save money in copywriting, write it yourself, because the copywriter is just going to waste your money and write shitty copy. Copywriting is super hard. So it's either you hire the best or do it yourself. So if anybody quotes you for this landing page copy, the whole thing, I mean, I don't know how many words there are here, but I'm ballparking here. Like, if the copywriter charged less than $1,500 for this, it was a cheap-ass copywriter, probably not very good. Well, we can see it's not very good.
Well, if you want to regularly win in tests, it's the words, it's the messages that win and win and win, and find those big wins. How you present the messages, how you do your headlines. Those are the big winners in our experience.
There's also, this is not a delightful experience. This is just, it's kind of chaos. I come in here, I'm like Pep saying that, my attention's drawn to different things because of the contrast and the colors, and then you tell me to look here, but I'm looking up here, and it's just not nice enough for me to want to be here. I don't like it.
Right, and it's dramatically, in terms of visual hierarchy, the visuals are dominating over copy so much that you don't even read it. Plus, of course, having 7 or however many bullet points is also gonna really hurt.
I want a 3.
Yeah, go for 3, put the rest down below.
Headline, sub-headline, intro-paragraph, maximum 3 lines, 3 bullets. So 4 minutes should be the start of your test. It's not guaranteed to work the best, but it's what typically works the best.
And there are too many, it's kind of tagline, headline, nature-centered, science-driven.
They will not remove this.
I mean, that's their branding, but it's...
I think people won't read it, honestly.
But it puts too many, like you're saying, the hacker, it puts too many levels, and the secret is nitric oxide.
Oh my gosh, I hope that beer I had earlier was nature-centered.
It's science-driven.
I know it was science-driven. Yeast is an interesting science.
See what happens when we click on this. Oh, no one's gonna get there anyway.
So here, why did you suddenly introduce this menu there? That is a distraction. Get rid of the menu.
Oh, it's the wrong time to bring a menu
now we're
in.
on the website, so we're on an orphan LP, if you will, and then now you're actually on the website. You are in the shopping.
Well, I mean, you should remove it from the website too. You should not have that kind of distraction
I
here.
have to tell them that this part is going to get optimized. And try to explain to them that that's once you're on the product page, your focus starts and you have to remove distractions, they're like, but what if they want to navigate from there? Like, we can
No, what is the goal of the website? The goal of the website is to people to buy stuff, not to browse around.
Yeah, so it's a really good idea at this point to go to YouTube.
Yes.
Maybe you can learn about some drumming or.
So when I'm about to buy something, I'm just looking for an excuse to delay the decision. And if I delay it long enough, I'm not going to buy, right?
And what is the one action we want people to take? It's this button or this button, right? So why are these buttons of equal importance visually? Bad idea. Make them text links. Or, you know, and apply coupon, what does this tell me? It means there's a coupon somewhere. So now I go to Google and I'll start Googling coupons. And maybe I go to, you know, Retail Me Not or whatever, and there you go, your competitor has a coupon there. So actually not coming back and buying from the competitor. So it's okay to have coupon links, but make it a text link where you click and it shows you the box.
Have you ever tested, I've seen a couple.
$35 without a free sample. I mean, I like the information, but I want to feel it, experience it. That's kind of how 5 Hour Energy started too, years ago.
Okay. Sorry, just to go to your point. Look at the difference on this page now. Look at that simple design change. If that actually was black, everybody knows this is what you need to do because of the contrast, because everything else is pink and red.
And calculate shipping. You have their IP address. Why don't you auto-calculate based on where they are, and give them an option to change it if they're not shipping to where they are now. But while geo-targeting is not perfect, at least they'll get the state right, so you can give them an accurate shipping quote. And is the shipping same for everybody? $5.95.
Beverly Hills is more.
Given that point already, that if it's standard shipping, we should just advertise it as flat rate shipping.
Yeah. Just get rid of it. Yeah.
Please say this for the record so I can.
Just say what the shipping costs and that's it.
Okay. Cool.
And another thing here, what you can add is proceed to checkout. I've tested this button copy, and in some sites where people are concerned about security, if you say proceed to secure checkout or something, add some security-minded wording there. But it only works if that is an actual concern. They might not have that concern.
I think one thing to keep in mind is that this is going to be impulsive buy traffic. People who are return buyers are going to come through the website. So this needs to feed that spontaneous, impulsive, no distractions, get the crap out of the way. If it doesn't happen within 40 seconds, I'm going to change my mind sort of traffic. And that's what this really needs to be designed
Would you
for.
say then remove the collapsibles because they're designed to give those people who didn't impulsively buy based on the bullets more information if they maybe need to go on it?
I wouldn't necessarily say remove the copy, given the caveats we've given. Long copy doesn't necessarily mean a spontaneous person's not going to scan it and get it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes all they need to do is see that there's a lot of stuff written and they're going to say, oh, this must be good. They write a lot of stuff about it. And that will carry them forward. So I'm not going to say categorically take it off, but having it collapsible.
It's a lot of effort.
Yeah, because you've got 12 things, and so you're asking me to make a decision based on 12 things. A spontaneous person's not going to.
If it's the content that you actually want them to read, don't hide it behind a click.
Yeah.
But you can design long-form copy pages to be highly readable, even if they have 10,000 words. It's a science of its own, of course.
So like Apple squeeze page type of thing, break it up, title, picture, some words.
Yeah, add a lot of novelty, like have the direct the eye gaze, like the way you present the copy needs to be good and all that stuff.
Use Crazy Egg or something, see how far people are scrolling when it's working.
Okay.
Why not split it into a mini site? Because for that target of the audience who really wants more information about it, they could just head out to a mini site, and there you could track all the interactions directly through analytics, so you don't have to track what people are clicking here. And then you remove all the fuss, and then you have a landing page.
I mean, then all of that information is on the website. So would then a solution be to put basically for those who are not going to convert and all of this, basically say, hey, if you need more information, just proceed to our website, and I voluntarily
No.
there?
No.
You don't want to ever say that if you need more, then do this. No.
If they're not going to buy, then you need to let them go, because you'll lose a bunch of people who would buy.
You have a video.
We do have a video.
Like,
Someone watch videos.
KXAN? That's our local station.
You're the video. You're the audience for the videos.
I mean, it's 4 minutes long. That's a lot, but
And we see it's like a TV show recording, so.
He doesn't look like he's much of a biker either with his sweater vest.
Right. We'll get one with Hunter Camper.
It's very important that it's 7 a.m.
Live, it's not live.
Let's go into seconds. Like, how soon do we understand
So
what's
if you went and
about?
looked at the YouTube stats on this, you would see this huge, probably 10 to 15% drop within the first few seconds.
I would say like 90% drop.
Editing is everything, and this is.
I know all this thing.
It's also muted. Like she's a mute or something. There's no audio.
Yeah, YouTube remembers your previous setting.
We have mute newscasters in Austin, yeah.
The subtitles.
No sign language.
Plenty of runners are looking for ways to boost.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not going to sell any. That's not going to sell any product. You just need to get that out of there.
Yeah. So you had a question.
Yeah, Ali, you kind of talked about color briefly. I mean, this has such a bold color.
Yeah.
That it's maybe distracting. I mean, do you find that typically bold colors are distracting and it's better to go with a muted?
It's all about execution.
Right.
Yeah, there is no rule that don't avoid this color. That doesn't exist.
Okay.
But the important thing is visual hierarchy. The important things are stand out in terms of color or size. So which this visual hierarchy is very poorly done.
And we'll see these edges as high up in the visual hierarchy just because of the extreme contrast. So actually the edges take away from the center of the pages the way this is done. So contrast points, if you're going to be bold, you have to manage the contrast issue.
Yeah, and this is your. Sorry, say again.
Well, just raise your hand.
Oh.
Raise your hand and bring us a piece of paper with your.
Maybe Stephanie, you can collect the URLs meanwhile.
The URL that's just to the left, that's already up there.
Oh, it's already up there.
Oh,
Okay.
All right. Well, let's look at another one.
Sure. Actually, just on the color contrast thing. I mean, you need to focus the attention on what's important. This giant background has absolutely no value, and it's kind of. I mean, yes, it focuses the attention in a little bit, but all of a lot of the important stuff is the same color. Having a muted page where the important stuff stands out is a lot simpler viewing experience.
I also
I
have
know
a
what I'm
trick.
doing. What's that?
I was going to say I have a trick as a designer to figure out what's contrast and screenshot this and make it in black and white. And if you can't tell the difference between the elements, it becomes much easier to figure out contrast. And so whenever I'm trying to convince a designer or non-designer that something's not contrasty enough, I'll just screenshot it, put it black and white, and then say, can you tell the difference between any of these things? And if you can't, then the contrast probably isn't there.
Cool. Okay, next. How much time do we have, Steph?
It's 7:30. How long do you guys want to keep going? I know there's 2 pages, like two more people want their pages critiqued.
Nobody's stormed out yet, so we're not trying hard.
Okay, I'll just go with one that was submitted.
Right now, like, are you guys
Okay. Is someone here for this one? Awesome. Right in front. What's that?
10-15 minutes?
Sure. Okay, we have this one here, so maybe just tell us a little bit.
This is
right here.
Ours.
So who's the audience and what's the product?
Audience is males, like 20 to 35, targeted through Facebook.
Like all men or lifestyle?
Lifestyle, right now our best campaign is people who like The Wolf of Wall Street and people who like the movie Limitless.
Okay.
But we also target executives in New York City, people who use their brain a lot for their job, like high demanding jobs.
First thing I'd say is like the perceived friction on this page is huge. Like the first thing I'm seeing is a giant form. I've not even consumed any of your content. I'm not interested yet. Like you have a long page. I looked at this earlier, right? So, which is fine. I mean, and you break it down. You're repeating the CTAs. Some of these go off and do different things, which is a bad idea. But you could just have a single CTA at the top here and push it and scroll it down to your form at the bottom, right? So that I'm not looking at form. So I can look at through here. I can start believing what you're selling.
Until I see that guy.
And what's the caption here? Make sure that when you're pointing, your chin doesn't fall off.
Yes.
What's the caption here?
But I mean, there's too much social proof going on here. It's trying to ram it down my face. Believe me, believe me, believe me. Like this. What is it? Okay, I need to know what it is right away. Not like it's amazing before I know what it is.
Yeah. The hyperbole in the headline is going to work against you. Breakthrough mind enhancement. I mean, you can only read that in a radio DJ's voice.
Yeah.
Right? What does that mean?
When we have this templated, so like we change that depending on who the audience is. Like we have all this templated, so we can change the background image. We can change H1, H2, and we cycle them and A/B test them. So like we have one for moms.
So is this the one that usually wins?
It depends on which audience. So like if we're targeting moms, if you do instead of brand 001, you do what's the bottom one?
Mother underscore 1001.
Yeah, mother underscore 1001.
Where's that? Oh, okay.
Drop your baby here.
We had a hard time with the form because we noticed conversion rates dropped off when we pulled the form to the second page, or when we pulled the form down. So we tried to do a bunch of things, and then it looks disgusting with the form there, but then the conversion rates went up, and so
if it works, works.
Well, typically, I don't know if you've tested this, typically multi-column forms are a bad idea. You want a single column only, not multi-column. And what you also want to test here is that don't put the form here, just put the call to action, have the form to be on the second page. Because what that will also do is you'll have better measurement. You'll see how many people click through, they're interested. But now they're not buying, so either your form sucks or it's too much money, they don't believe that it's worth the money.
Or maybe like name email on the first and then have them, instead of a second page, of mobile come up, where if they don't fill out the mobile, you at least already could start following up with them.
Exactly, yeah, that's a good idea.
The layout itself looks way prettier if we remove the social proof white strip at the top and remove the form.
Exactly.
And it really agrees, and we have just a button, but we
tried that, they tested
that design.
Pretty usually doesn't win.
Yeah.
Ugly win.
The other thing is if you go to the next page, they have to put in their credit card information.
Really?
The other thing maybe is try, actually I'm curious, if you guys had any tests with expandable, like they start filling out the form, and after they get like say they have 3, as soon as they get the first 2 done, the form expands to be more columns?
Yeah, we use it on one of our e-commerce client sites for a credit card form. Credit card form only has the number line, and as soon as you fill out the number line, the CVV and all this stuff appear, and it works really well.
What is nice here actually, that and a lot of forms, it just doesn't work, or they prevent it from happening. I know of a customer that actually, not a customer, someone that actually prevented, oh, it's not my laptop. I tried it online and it has the the Chrome autocomplete, and it was really, really fast. It was great, but
also, I think the copy sucks. There's not enough told about the product before you're asking me to take action. So there's a framework for thinking about this stuff, and the framework is this guy BJ Fogg, and he has this persuasive design model, which is motivation, ability, trigger. So basically, the higher the motivation, when the motivation is high, you should trigger some sort of a thing. For instance, ask for a sale, click here. So now how high the motivation is, the influence is how likely they are to take action. And now there's abilities, like how easy it is to take the action. So now you have them fill out this bunch of forms. It's not very easy. Maybe you can, make it easier somehow. So if you think of that, like, do we have enough motivation before we, trigger this form? How can we make it easier? If you think of that mindset, it becomes easier to analyze it.
What's the source of the traffic?
Primarily Facebook. We do targeted ads towards Facebook. So like this is targeted towards mothers who like caffeine, and mothers who like energy drinks.
A headline like this, a lot depends on you.
We had a female come up with the writing for this because I don't know how to target mothers because I'm not a mother.
Because it doesn't introduce anything about what this is.
So it's no value. It doesn't, it helps them self-identify if they feel that, but I mean they might not. And with headlines is that it's impossible to predict in advance how well a headline is going to perform. You need to test. There's no way around it. And a super annoying thing about this page is this bang, 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 this auto-rotating banners. The testimonials. These are conversion killers. If you Google image sliders, I've written a lengthy blog post with tons of data about why they're really bad. Because the thing is, every time it moves, your eye focuses on the movement, and now you stop paying attention to stuff that actually matters: the form, the headline, the product description, and you're focusing on this, and you're probably not reading because it's too fast. So it adds no value. So just have static.
Have you done?
That's a really good point because most of our we measure screen width and height in our mixed panel, and most people barely their screen cuts right below the orange button, so they don't see that. And a lot of if you squeeze the page a little more, we switch over to a single column on the form, and it looks a lot better on mobile that way. But we might, like you guys said, take that mobile direction, shorten down the text a little bit more, and make that form
it's a lot
less
simpler.
daunting.
And make it big again. Another thing about long-form copy is that every time you have this kind of lines, this is like what's called a logical end. This is where the page ends. That's it. There's no indication that you need to scroll down. So always you want to add visual cues and avoid these kind of sharp lines, or if you introduce them, at least make them feel that they can, so as arrows or like some triangles or whatever, all these design tools are available.
More so than it used to be, because you'll see here, like with Chrome now, there is no scroll bar unless you're trying to scroll, right? There used to be that indication like, okay, I have 80% of the page remaining, but here, this is the page as far as the browser's telling me, right? There's nothing here. Until I do this, then I see how much there is.
I believe it's Mac specific.
Do we want them to scroll?
Of course.
Why would
The
you
thing
put all that
is,
stuff down there?
the whole idea is this. If they read all of this and they're not convinced, you have a problem.
Yeah.
And if they start scrolling down, they can get more info. They're probably not going to read the whole thing, but they might get answers to some questions that they have. So if they read the whole thing and they're still not convinced, it's a problem. So long-form copy tackles that issue. And so you want to make them make them aware that that content exists, at least give them the option to read it. And headlines, I guess,
This is the whole benefit of this is I get 10 of these free. That's your offer. Write that here.
Yeah, try it now.
Send me 10 samples free. So I know exactly what, this is some nice contrast here. These are connected, which is nice, but if it says 10 samples free right there, then.
Does that mean 10 pills?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought because the bottle's right next to it.
Yeah, I also assume 10 bottles. Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought I could give it away to everybody in my family. Okay. So.
Yeah, I was going to get 10 things of 2.
Here you go, wife.
But it leads kind of an interesting question. Wow, it only takes 10?
30%
This stuff must really work.
on this page to the next page.
So you guys have sent this to us or something, just sent for a free consultation or something?
It's a
I've seen this
model,
before,
so
like in the last couple weeks.
Maybe.
It's about 50%.
We've been looking to see.
So 50% of the people that order samples
continue buying.
Good. Okay, that's very good actually.
So all this criticism is good, but I want to know how and why does a person come to this website? It's all centered on the website itself, but how does a person come to this website?
From Facebook ads, right?
Yeah, targeted ads.
Facebook ads.
Demographically, socially targeted advertising.
Is it through friends or friends? Do you pay people to?
Facebook has promoted posts that you can do and all sorts of different newsfeed writing and mobile ads, stuff like that.
In fact, you're more likely to see one of their ads than anything from one of your friends.
Yeah, well, a lot of folks are prone to overlook that because we know
right. Yeah, and that's we don't have our ads here, but that's a big factor. What's the ad conversion rate really drives the cost of acquiring customers, and we've been working more on that front recently, and just kind of letting the pages do their thing. But I'm really curious, what would you guys say is the first thing that you would change? Would it be removing the form? Is that daunting, or removing the line?
I mean,
when you scroll,
you could start doing like test this, or you could just go for a big bang, do a heuristic analysis. Like, I think there are like 8 things wrong with this. Get rid of all of them. Find a new place to be starting from. If it wins, then you can start tweaking it. But if you want to test moving the form down, or maybe getting rid of this,
I will work on the copy.
There's so many things.
I think that's the weakest link here.
Yeah, you gotta nail the value proposition.
Yeah.
And the headline and the subhead, that's gotta be the complete value proposition. Or at least something so intriguing that it makes me wanna understand the rest of the value proposition.
How do you feel about static conversion buttons? So as you start scrolling, if the button just stays there, is that good, bad? Have you guys tested it?
Yeah, it works sometimes.
We've tested trust symbols that stick on the page like that, and on one site have had success.
You could just
Not all.
what they're doing here and include the conversion button sort of intermittently, or do a static one instead. What would you recommend?
This is a question that nobody can predict. It's like, look in the mirror and see what the mirror says.
At the very least, though, repeat the offer at the bottom of the page. So the people who get all the way to the bottom have a certain level of interest.
I like that call to action.
Is this the bottom?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Good.
There it is.
Should have been at the top. So, yeah.
Try 10 samples now, free. See, there you go.
Because rush my order, I feel it's also kind of pushy, like, do it now, like,
Rush
I'm
me
not
to
ready
order.
yet.
Plus, if it's an order, it implies that they need their credit card, and we haven't told them that yet.
Do they, for the samples?
Yeah, we make them pay for shipping. But then if they drop off, when they have to pay for shipping, we send them a personal email from me.
Okay.
Because you've already got their contact information.
That's not a bad strategy. Okay, that sounds good.
There were some questions there. You raised your hand there.
No, yeah, I was just a little bit curious about the copy around the testimonials. I understand, like, a lot of times things like they just want to be overly explicit, but like see what others had to say right above something that is so clearly an example of what another person is saying. I'm curious about.
It's like people know that these are testimonials, and of course they're going to say good things. So there's no need to be gimmicky about it. You can just say testimonials or whatever. I feel that the language really doesn't matter that much because like people know what it is. They're not stupid.
You're
absolutely right about the
There's
animation.
nothing that says what it is at all. There's all these testimonials in vague terms that will give you energy.
Yeah, copy is weak. I agree.
A lot depends on you. What depends on you is all the effort involved in doing something on this page. It's just hard.
Where do you guys go to get? I hear a lot about copy, and I'm not a copywriter. Where do you guys go to find good copywriting talent? We tried Elance, we tried Odesk, and they sucked.
They would.
So yeah, you have to ask recommendations from.
If you can get someone to tell you who their copywriter
We
is.
went to places that we liked, looked and saw who was blogging there, like freelance writers. Like we would look at Unbounce, see who's writing there that we could hire, and make an offer to them.
And of course, the person who writes an excellent blog post does not necessarily write a good direct response sales copy. These are very different skills. And the same is with somebody who writes good brand copy, this one sentence that is really good, like in ad agencies, cannot typically write long form direct response copy. It's a different skill set.
So where did you say is the best place to find them?
Conversionxl.com, email me, I'll send you some links.
Have you tested it, like totally short page versus all of this at all?
We've done we started off with Unbounce, but then their pages weren't mobily responsive, and 50% of our conversions are coming from mobile.
Yeah.
So it's unexcusable. You can't use it.
It's in beta right now, so it's not far away.
We started building our own off of Webflow.
Right. No, but I mean, do you have a problem testing now, or like using
And yeah, now we want to go back to using you guys as soon as the mobile feature comes out. Because right now we have to split between Webflow and Visual Website Optimizer to do the testing. But as soon as you guys come out with the mobile feature, we're back online.
I mean, it's a lot less work for us. We'd much rather use you guys.
Yeah, no, it's in beta now, and if you guys haven't had access to it, throw me an email. I'll see if I can get you in there.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yes, Ollie on
Yeah, and if you fill out that form with junk information,
Actually, I'm not gonna use that.
Check out the credit card form.
Yeah, was there another website to look at?
I think he's got them all tabbed up there.
Remember, I need to check mark.
It'll check, yeah.
They just order right here, you just do it very slowly.
What's your abandonment rate on this page? Do you know?
What's our what?
The abandonment rate on this?
Matt, what's our abandonment rate on this specific page that went on the first page?
Abandonment rate
Yeah.
on the second page is about 70%, 70 to
70%? That's not bad for asking for a credit card, I guess.
Okay, let's, so Steph, which one of these did you give me first? Steph?
Sorry.
Which one of these did you give me first? Do you know? Oh, the number one, 2, and 3?
Yeah, let's just do one more. Sorry.
Okay, we'll do one more. And
Appreciate you guys doing that.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
of course. Okay, now we get, actually I'm not gonna say anything. I know something here, you guys maybe. So whose page is this?
Leadscoring.io.
Okay. You guys are gonna have to ask some questions.
So tell us about the target user and how do they get to this page?
SMB, selling to businesses, has a full-time marketer and sales team. I haven't started pushing it yet. I'm just about to.
So it's all just cold call traffic, a salesperson's inviting them to come to this page?
So I haven't started pushing it yet, but I'm gonna mostly pay-per-click. That's how I'll be doing
It's gonna
it.
be pay-per-click, okay.
So you're saying small businesses?
Yeah. So 1 to 50 million revenue, annual revenue.
Okay.
Okay, small. And is their primary concern that their CEO isn't allowed to use their tools?
The biggest thing that we found with so we have other lead enhancement software, and the big thing is if there was only a way that our CEO could visualize this, so I don't have to write a report for them and stuff like that.
So that's
We've
like
heard that a
the
lot.
that's a major objection to.
It's a major reason why
buying
people are
software.
using our other software, and the idea of this is to charge more for the software we built.
What is it that I'm supposed to get from the screen capture?
Pardon?
What am I supposed to get from this image?
That's the only reason we haven't shipped it, is I can't figure out what to put there.
Oh, okay.
That's part of the template.
Oh, is it really?
Do you have a deal with Starbucks, or are you just pulling it out of the pocket?
I'm pulling it out.
That's clever.
Yeah, so the idea with that is if someone doesn't want to use us, the amount of time that we got to talk with them and learn from them, it's worth the cost of a Starbucks for us.
How many people redeemed that?
I just threw this up. I'm about to start pushing it.
Huh.
So
no humans on this page. It seems so abstract. You don't know what lead scoring is.
But you should know at least scoring that. I imagine if you're going to target people who understand.
Well, I know what the concept of lead scoring is, but
Guarantees and stuff.
my lead management system already does it. So
Another thing is that lead scoring kind of does it cheapen by adding a coffee? Like, is my time worth only coffee for the type of audience that you're reaching?
yeah, for me also the Starbucks thing, it seems like a distraction.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about, do I want a demo? It's now it's like Starbucks. So, do I want a coffee? And again, like,
trying to make a decision on $100,000 in software a year, and do I want a coffee?
It's kind of like that spam thing that you said, like if you say spam, they're gonna think spam. If you say if you're not completely satisfied, it makes me think.
It's like,
and what does it mean that you're satisfied with the demo? I don't know. I understand it's a sales pitch. Can you be satisfied with the sales pitch? And if I give you my money, am I now satisfied or not? I don't know. So how do you measure it?
It should be an A in guarantee as well.
Yeah.
And readability. I mean, white text on a blue background, not very easy to read. The form, tiny font, gray text on a gray background, very bad to read again. And how can lead scoring. Like, do you need to know their CRM and how can lead scoring help for the demo? Can't you ask those during the demo?
Seems like the design
Role, company, current CRM. Are they not going to get a demo if they're not a certain title or in a company that we believe is qualified?
So I have 5 versions of this, with about each one having one less form, one less field form. But knowing their right now, knowing their CRM makes a huge difference on how we approach the sale.
All right, so leave that one in. What about the others?
Which one are you looking at?
Well, I'm just gonna say this one is a pretty. This is adding a problem here, because how can lead scoring help? I'm like, are you asking me theory? Like, is lead scoring a good thing in marketing, or are you asking how can my company help? So it's a little bit.
So the 5 versions we have is how can leads have it with that, because we found with other things that having it open-ended was really good for us. So we have that. We have it with just or ending at the CRM, ending at your company, ending at your role, and then just full name, email, phone number.
I would just say we here. Makes it really simple.
How can we?
Yeah. Otherwise, also the 3 reasons to demo lead scoring. It's also confusing. Is it the concept or your software?
That's a good question. But the one thing that this does kind of illustrate is that you're talking about a demo of lead scoring. You're not going into your company and how your software is awesome. This is about getting a demo, and the only thing you need to talk about your company and the products is enough to build trust or to provide proof that they're getting a demo of a credible product. But beyond that, what are they going to get from the demo? I don't know that these bullets really deliver on that, quite frankly. But
yeah, what are the 3 biggest benefits of the software, not of the demo? The benefit of the demo is that you're going to figure some stuff out, but I want to know what the software does, so I'm going to go, I'd like a demo of this.
Yeah. So I don't care about the demo until I believe that this software could be a good fit for me. Now about the picture. So I've worked with a lot of software, websites that sell whatever kind of software. So one thing is always true, screenshots really matter. People want to click on it, enlarge it, they want to see, the more the better. So I would make it bigger, maybe even instead of those humans in the background, just show me a big ass picture of your software, and maybe have it clickable so I can just navigate through different screens and get a better understanding. Hey, this shit looks really good.
Yeah, something like that. I'd probably want to do like a little tour or something like that. See the key features, how it helps.
Otherwise it's like buying a pig in a sack, or you don't really know much about it.
Oh, and it depends on where it ultimately gets the traffic. How knowledgeable they are.
Cool. I guess that we should probably wrap it up there. I mean, we can keep talking. Let's grab a beer again and just hang out.
Me? No, I definitely don't. But why don't we all grab a beer and you guys can kind of chat that way instead of like this 2-way kind of presenter dialogue. How's
But then we'll lose our power at the front of the.
We can't lose our power now.
Got a couple IQ points on everybody else now.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, everybody.